So hello everybody. Thanks a lot for your invitation and congratulations for these great initiatives. And since the morning, I am quite amazed to see the great enthusiasm in the chat, in the discussion, and so on. And I will make a short presentation. I won't bring any picture, I won't bring any video, and so on. Thanks to Logan, who will speak just after me, and with my colleague here in Budapest, he will show to you a bit more pictures about what we are doing here in Budapest. But what I would like to share with you this morning is in 3 points, the main challenges you may face if you want to initiate yourself this type of project, what we could hear in the morning. So if you too, you want to become the superhero of the 21st century, it won't be an easy story. And I will speak from the perspective of degrowth, and I usually write and make research on degrowth. Like, for example, this is my last book, Exploring Degrowth. Also, there are a lot of books about degrowth and agriculture. The last one, which just been published and Logan contributed, is Food for Degrowth. So there are a lot of debates and so on. And I think before starting to create your own project around CSA or AMAP or permaculture or whatsoever, it's very important to be aware of the challenge you may face, which are totally connected to the model of society we are embedded. I speak also from the perspective of somebody who's been involved in such projects for more than 15 years. I had the chance to be involved in the beginning of the AMAP development in France in the 2000s. And I saw a lot of wonderful success stories, but I also saw a lot of tragedies and a lot of disappointment and a lot of very tough situation what people had to face while developing such projects and so on. So let's go immediately into the 3 points I want to share with you. And first, I will develop a bit the challenges you may face based on that 3 points. And secondly, I will come back on each point and show some examples of good practices or what we try to do to deal with that challenges with Cargonomia here in Budapest. And again, don't worry, you may see some photos, pictures, videos later with Logan, or if not, you can go on the internet and look for it. We have a lot of things like that. So the 3 main challenges we face are first, economic challenges, secondly, cultural habits challenges, and suddenly unfair competition from an energy work point of view. So the first point is economic challenges we face. So we live in a model of society based on capitalism or neoliberalism or ultraliberalism, where the logic is profit. And you make profit if you're able to make some economy of scales and if you're able to externalize a lot of your expenses. And if you start to produce vegetable in a fair way, in an organic way, in trying to revitalize biodiversity, in being fair, in being transparent, in being democratic, and so on, you may not be able to compete with the dominant system, which is based on exactly the contrary of that principles. So if you go to a supermarket and you buy a basic vegetable, you won't pay the right price for that vegetable because the price is paid by the communities, it's paid by your taxes, it's paid by fiscal or tax evasion or tax optimization. It's paid by externalities which are not paid by this corporation, by the people through climate change, biodiversity loss, pollution, disease consequences of this pollution, floods, how they destroy the soil, and so on. So you would enter, if you want to do something like Niklas is doing, or what we do here in Budapest with Cargonomia or Jamboki Biokert, or all the great projects I could observe in the last 2 decades emerging everywhere all around the world or in Europe and so on. It's a bit like to economically commit suicide because you will have to compete with a very unfair system. So let's be aware of that, and knowing that, I will after give some solution because don't worry, there are a lot of great opportunities to turn around that. You will have to be much more creative and to be very tricky to deal with this unfair economic situation. The second main challenge is what you will face is that you will try to sell vegetable to people who first don't know exactly what does it mean to grow vegetable, don't have really a clear clue about the challenges you face growing vegetable or producing local organic food. They don't know about the seasons. They don't know about how difficult it could be. They don't know about the diversities. They don't know a lot of vegetable you may propose in your box scheme and whatsoever. And also, they have a way of life, which is in this model of society, where they are not necessarily all the time at home with time to spend happily in cooking what you give them or in looking for recipes and so on. And very often you will get much more support, in particular from your friends, from people around you who like very much your idea, but it's more difficult to like the idea and to put a like on Instagram or Facebook rather than give money to you to support you and to achieve your things. And the rhythm of life, the way of life, what we face is not adapt to this type of slowing down, small scale, directed, diversity type of cooperation between producers and consumers. The third and last main challenge you may face, it's totally unfair situation toward the rest of the society, because if you are really degrowth, if you are really permaculture or agroecology, if you are really in the logic of respecting the environment and so on, you won't use so much or you won't use at all fossil energy. So you won't get a lot of machinery, energetic type of slavery. So you won't exploit energetically a lot of machines, which will facilitate your life. Where in the other side of the system, they are using huge amount of machinery from production to destroy the soil, to shape their garden, and also in packaging, in transporting, in distributing, and so on and so on. So this system, what you will have to implement, you will also have to be very tricky and to be realistic about the limited capacities you have compared to the other one. Also, the other one are exploiting unfairly a lot of people. If you go to South Spain, for example, where they produce in terrible condition, intensively junk food like tomatoes and this type of things, they also exploit in a terrible way refugees or illegal migrants who are working in slavery conditions. And it's the same. It was very interesting or quite a joke when we had last spring the borders which closed because of the COVID-19 pandemics. Suddenly, the French people and the German people woke up and they realized that gardening, in particular in organic gardens in South France, are made by people from Ukraine or from Romania or from Hungary who are exploited. And as the borders were closed, they don't have anymore this type of highly skilled, cheap slavery. And you will have to compete with this system, which is totally unfair. So again, it's free energy from them, from fossil energy to human exploitation and so on. So that's the three challenge you will have to face, and maybe even more, but hopefully there are solutions. So you go into an economic system where you won't be able to compete, and it's like to commit suicide economically. You go to a culture which is not ready yet to really face or to really understand exactly what you do and to be happy to eat only seasonable type of vegetable where they don't really know what is it about. So you have to make cultural change. And also you will have to be very tricky because you won't get as many fossil energy and people exploitation slavery than the other competitors. So saying that and having that in mind, when I co-founded with Logan and other friends Cargonomia here in Budapest, we tried to focus on this type of challenges, and we tried to create a type of cooperative where not we are considering this unfair situation. We have to find some creativity and some type of solidarity with a large number of networks and people to compensate this unfair situation and to be able to survive without killing ourselves in working crazily, and also without running to bankruptcy. And it's not easy. We managed to do it till now, but it's every year a challenge to keep on going with what we are doing and so on. And to do so, what's really important, and I start with my first point about economics, based on my experience, it's very important to diversify, if possible, the possibilities of income you will get. So for example, with Cargonomia, we have income with research projects, we have income with events organization, like organizing festivals, like organizing workshops and so on. We have income through donations, through grants, through giving talks, through being consultants in some research projects or some political projects and so on. And it can compensate all this type of income as the difficulties we may face in selling the vegetable, or we may face if we get a problem at the farm, or if we get a problem with our logistic systems and so on. So that's my first point. Diversify your incomes if possible. And to do so, it's very important not to do it yourself with everything, but to connect with people who can bring this type of diversification. And hopefully, when we speak about organic farming, when we speak about CSA, AMAP, and so on, hopefully you may meet, you may connect with a lot of people. You may connect with a lot of people who will be happy to help you, will be happy to cooperate you, and you can bring something, and they can bring the other things, and it's a great chance to make your economic model much more resilient. So diversification of income through networking with different type of people. The second point, which is about the cultural difficulties, you should identify, I would call it a niche, you should identify type of communities who may understand what you plan to do and who will be helping you and supporting you, and who may be already ready to consume the type of products you plan to sell to them. And you don't need so much, because we mostly speak about small is beautiful, small scale type of agriculture, but it's very important before starting to identify the right people and the right network you may be able to connect with. And it's what we had the opportunity to do here in Budapest, where you have some niche. And I can give you a few examples, like we connected with a group of students who are interested in this type of vegetable, what we produce. We are connected with a type of more like green activists who are already aware and interested in this type of things. Or you can go to kindergarten, where moms and families are enthusiastic about this type of food. So it will facilitate your life if you identify 1, 2, 3, 4 good networks of people who are already organized, who understand what you plan to do, and who may be happy to support you and so on. Last point, which is, I think, one of my favorites, it's how to be creative and to compensate the lack of slavery you don't want to exploit. So you don't want to use fossil energy, you don't want to exploit people, so you want to create maybe a meaningful job in good condition for people you may employ if you're able to do so in constructing your project. You want to involve people who could learn from you and could help, but it's not also to exploit them. It has to be based on a win-win type of solution. And what we do with Cargonomia, it's connected to my first point. We have a diversity of activities, so the people working on the farm can also be involved in other type of activities. So it's not a typical job at the farm, which can be sometimes tiring and physically difficult and psychologically also tiring and so on. But to also connect them with other communities and other type of projects and activities. Also, we have a lot of volunteers. In particular, we welcome trainees for a long period, where the people could bring a lot of insights. They could work for free at the farm, but they are doing it with a lot of enthusiasm, because it's a great opportunity for them to learn first, to learn about organic farming and so on. But also it's a good opportunity to come to Hungary, to discover activities, to connect with alternative projects, to learn from that, to reflect, to work on research projects. And also we do it in a way that they can get scholarship. So we use type of public money in a smart way to connect their time with our farm and to develop things. So it's just a few examples, a few questions I wanted to share with you. But I think the most important is to be aware that to launch such a project, you have to be somehow the superhero of the 21st century. because all the system is organized in a way that it goes exactly to the contrary what we would like to do and we love, and we think it's very important to implement to save the planet and to have a meaningful activities, meaningful life, and very delicious, sustainable type of food to eat every day. Uh, but to be a superhero, it's very important not to do it in killing yourself, but in being creative, smart, and connected with a lot of people who could help you, and to co-construct something where you may be successful without too much stress and without going to bankruptcy or sad stories, what I could experience too much in the past. And with Logan, we will present also some complementary things from our own experience and so on, and we'll happily show you also some photos of what we do. I think with Logan, we are also happy to be contacted and to share more of our experience. And again, you can find more information online in English on our website, on our Facebook page, on our Instagram, or YouTube channel. You will find easily in Googling Cargonomia, or in Googling my name, or in waiting for Logan. We will show on his slides all the useful links about what I've just spoken about very superficially in asking provocative questions. So thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much. We have a few questions. The first one is, what did you mean when talked about your political project, which help you to earn money?
So I am quite lucky, and I think Logan a bit as well, that the type of things what we do with Cargonomia, or you all try to do and so on, and are more and more in the interest of a politician or political think tank or a political institution. And time to time, we can be invited to give a talk, or we can be invited to make some consultancy, like to a municipality or to a EU commission or some political parties or political think tank. And when it happens, we are playing like capitalist guys. So we are happy to give a big bill, which is a good way to make some money, and money which can be reinvested to support our communities and to get more economic security.
Thank you very much. And one more question: how to attract good, conscious volunteers and cut off destructive people from the project?
I would say it's always the main challenges, and in French we speak about the. I use it in brackets, and I'm sorry for the bad word. We speak about the fucking human factor. And when you construct such a network and such communities, you may face a lot of human challenges. And I would say that the best way to do it, it's to go very, very slowly and to construct step by step, in opening step by step with different types of networks. And while working with different people and networks, the main point is, I think, based on my experience, and that's the main advice I would share with you, it's very important not to start with an already well elaborated project, but to identify, based on the people you may work with, what are their main skills and what they could bring to the project, and to design the project based on the type of communities you can connect with, and to be very flexible and open-minded in making your project evolve depending on the type of people you may be able to involve in the project, and depending on the type of network and the type of opportunities you may find. And very often the project I saw, which were very successful, ended up with something very wonderful, which was not necessarily what the people had in mind when they started. So it went organically to different type of things. And I would say sometimes when you make permaculture, you end up with type of things which are surprisingly very wonderful, but it was maybe not what you expected. And I would say the same with the construction of community and cooperation with different type of people.